400 years ago, Earth was dying. The skies were filled with black smoke. Oceans boiled, nations fell. Humanity was at war with itself and losing. In the middle of that chaos, something strange happened. A giant alien ship appeared above. The Earth. It didn't fire. It didn't speak. It simply waited. Then came a message. "We are the Valari. You are not ready to die. Let us help. One day we may ask for your help. Will you promise?" The world leaders didn't hesitate. They said yes. The Valari saved Earth. They stopped the wars. They healed the skies. They gave medicine, food, and energy. They left after 10 years and disappeared into the stars. The promise was made. But then it was forgotten. Now, in the year 2791, Earth was no longer weak. It was peaceful, powerful, united. The humans had built starships, space cities, and deep space scanners, but most people had never seen the Valari again. To many, the story of the Valari promise was just a legend until one quiet night. The signal came. It was just after midnight at the Earth Defense Command Station on Lunar Base 1. Lieutenant Mara Cade was drinking coffee and watching the silent space map on the hollow screen. Everything was quiet. Then the alarm sounded. A red, blinking dot appeared on the screen. It was an old code, something she had never seen before. Her eyes widened. "Commander, you need to see this!" Commander Tarek Dane rushed in, his face serious. He looked at the screen, then at the code. "Impossible," he whispered. "This code is over 4 centuries old. It's Valari." They decoded the message. It was short. "We ask for your help. Our people are dying. The Zorax Horde attacks. You promised. We need you." The room fell silent. All eyes turned to the commander. "What do we do, sir?" someone asked. Tarek stood still for a moment. Then he spoke clearly. "We answer, prepare the High Council." The next morning, every major leader on Earth gathered in the Unity Chamber. Scientists, generals, and historians all listened as the message was played again. The Valari were under attack by the Zorax Horde, a violent alien race that destroyed whole planets. The Valari had held them back for years, but now they were falling. Billions had died. They were desperate. Most humans didn't even know who the Valari were. But one old woman stood up. Her name was Dr. Elena Ross, the last living expert on the Valari. She spoke with a strong voice. "They saved us when we had nothing. They asked for nothing in return, only that one day, if they needed help, we would answer. That day is today, and we must go." Some were afraid, some were angry, but the decision was made. Earth would go to war, but not like before. This time, Earth didn't send a message. They sent a fleet. Across the solar system, giant human warships began to rise. Secret ships, hidden for years in black spaceports, activated. Their engines glowed blue. Their hulls were black and sharp like blades. On Mars, elite soldiers boarded transports in silence. On Saturn's moon Titan, AI-controlled drones were loaded. Into launch bays, Earth had prepared for this day, quietly, carefully. They had never forgotten the promise. And now, the galaxy would see what humans had become. Commander Ilya Morrow stood at the front of the flagship Oblivion. She wore no medals, no bright colors, just a black uniform with the Earth crest on her shoulder. Behind her, hundreds of ships waited. The stars outside the window looked calm. But everyone knew, soon they would burn. She turned to her crew and spoke. "Long ago, someone saved us. We made a promise, and we never break our word. Today, we repay the debt, and we do it our way. This is not a mission. This is not politics. This is duty. Prepare for jump." Far across the galaxy, on the burning skies above Valari Prime, the last defenders were falling. Giant insect-like ships of the Zorax swarmed the skies. The Valari's golden towers burned. Their defense cannons were gone. Children cried, elders screamed. Then suddenly, the sky opened. A giant hole of light tore through the darkness, and from it, the humans arrived. The Zorax warships filled the skies above Velari Prime like a black swarm. Their ships were alive, moving like insects, biting into cities, feeding on energy. The Valari were losing fast, but then something new came through the sky, something cold, sharp, silent, a human fleet. Hundreds of black warships came out of jump space in perfect formation. No sound, no message, just presence. They didn't fly. Like other ships, they moved like shadows, controlled, precise. The Zorax turned toward them. They didn't know what these ships were. They would learn too late. Inside the command center of the Oblivion, Commander Ilya Morrow watched without blinking. Her hands were behind her back. She didn't smile. She didn't speak. She simply gave the order. Release Protocol Hammer. From the lower decks, giant plasma cannons lit up, missiles launched, railguns spun, beams of blue light tore through Zorax ships with no warning. In the first 60 seconds, 83 enemy vessels were destroyed. No human ship was even scratched. On the surface of Valari Prime, the remaining Valari defenders looked up in shock. They saw the sky light up with blue fire. The enemy ships were falling, melting, in mid-air, hit by weapons they had never seen before. One Valari commander, old and wounded, whispered, "They came." Back in Earth's solar system, the world watched the battle through live feeds. People stood in silence across cities and colonies. No music played. No news reporters spoke. Everyone was simply watching. Children asked, "Who are those soldiers?" The Buse answer came from an old general in a training hall. "They are the ghosts, Earth's shadow warriors, trained for a war we hoped would never come." In deep orbit above Saturn, the Earth High Command prepared its next wave. The Ghost Protocol. Units trained in Gravity Zero combat and silent boarding missions were ready. These were not regular soldiers. These were the ones who never existed on paper. They wore no ranks, they had no names, only numbers. Unit 7, Unit 14, Unit 36. Each had a mission: land on Zorax hive ships, shut them down from inside. No noise, no mercy. In the jump corridors of the battlecruiser Eclipse, a young soldier named Rayan checked her gear. She was only 22, but already had 16 missions. She looked at her squad and said, "This isn't for glory, this isn't for pay, this is for the promise. Let's make the galaxy remember us." Back at Valari Prime, the humans landed. Drop pods hit the ground with thunder. Black armored soldiers stepped out, weapons ready. They didn't stop to talk. They didn't wait. They moved through burning cities, clearing enemies like they had trained for this their whole lives. Because they had. The Valari survivors came out of hiding. They expected noise, yelling, chaos. But the humans were silent, focused, dangerous. One Valari elder tried to thank a human soldier. The soldier simply nodded and said, "Not here to talk, here to finish what we started." Then he vanished into the smoke. On the Zorax command ship, confusion turned to fear. They were not afraid of Valari weapons. They had fought them for decades, but the humans were different. No messages, no peace talks, no threats, just total destruction. Zorax AI scanners picked up something strange. The human weapons were powered by hybrid tech, some of it ancient Valari design, but improved, perfected. Faster, deadlier, and worse. It looked like the humans had planned this war long before it even started. Back on Earth, High Counselor Amina stood before the World Assembly. She said only one thing: "We made a promise 400 years ago, and we trained for this day every year since. The galaxy thinks we were sleeping. They were wrong. Earth never sleeps. Earth remembers." The battle raged on. Zorax ships began to flee. Some jumped to warp space, others exploded trying. But Earth wasn't done. The human fleet split into strike groups. Some protected Valari cities. Others chased the retreating Zorax forces, and one fleet, led by Commander Morrow, headed straight toward the Zorax homeworld. No one had ever gone that deep into enemy territory. But humans weren't like the others. Meanwhile, deep in a hidden archive below Earth's surface, an AI historian named June 7 activated a file. Project. Payback. It had started 300 years ago. The moment Earth became strong enough, they began preparing. Quietly, secretly, no songs, no shows, only training, because humans never forget. And when they repay a debt, they pay in full. The stars around Valari space were once calm and quiet, beautiful, peaceful. But now they were filled with fire. Zorax ships swarmed like black wasps, moving from system to system, burning every colony. The Valari had once ruled these stars with wisdom and peace. Now their cities floated in ruins, their people ran, hid, died, until the humans came. The main human fleet, led by Commander Morrow, arrived at the edge of Valari space. They did not come through normal space lanes. They used void jump tech, a system only Earth had mastered. The enemy did not even see them. Coming, one moment the stars were empty, the next, a wall of warships appeared, long black cruisers, dagger-shaped stealth ships, carrier stations with drones glowing like angry fireflies. At the center of it all was the massive battleship Oblivion, silent, cold, powerful. The Valari picked up the arrival on their broken sensors. They didn't know what to think. No message, no signal, just power. Inside the Valari High Council bunker on a moon called Seran 4, the remaining leaders gathered around a glowing table. Fear was written on every face. A scout burst into the room. New ships, unknown, thousands of them. They're not Zorax. The room froze. Then the old council head, Yavari Prime, stood up slowly. His voice shook. It's them, the ones we saved long ago. They have returned. Back in space, the Zorax Horde noticed the human fleet too. Their ships turned toward the new threat. Claws open, plasma charging. They thought the humans were weak. They thought wrong. Commander Morrow stood at the bridge of the Oblivion. Behind her, data officers whispered updates, target locks, distance checks, weapon status. She stared at the screen showing the enemy fleet. They don't know what's coming, her second-in-command whispered. Ilya nodded. Good. Let's keep it that way. Then she gave the order. All ships, open the line. The fleet moved into perfect shape. One long line, end to end, like a blade drawn across the stars. Then the fire began. Blue beams and railgun shells launched into the dark. Drones screamed across space. Missile clouds filled the air like a storm. Within minutes, Zorax ships began exploding one by one. Their systems were not ready for the precision, the speed, the silence. Human fighters flew with strange patterns, turning mid-space, diving into gravity holes, tricking the enemy. They had trained for this moment for generations. They didn't waste time. They didn't miss shots. They didn't speak. On one Valari planet, civilians looked up and saw black ships in the sky. For a moment, they feared new enemies. But then Zorax. Ships began to fall, burning, crashing, and behind them, the human ships hovered, calm and cold, like judgment. A young Velari girl pointed to the sky and said, "Are those angels?" An elder whispered, "No, child, those are humans, and they have come to make the stars fear again." Meanwhile, the Ghost Protocol units were already moving, dozens of human stealth pods attached to Zorax hive ships. The soldiers entered, quietly cutting through alien walls, disabling systems, planting shock bombs. The Zorax screamed, but their weapons were useless in tight space. The ghosts moved like shadows, fast, brutal, unstoppable. One Zorax warlord screamed over the comms, "These are not Valari! They fight like machines!" But they were not machines. They were humans, and they were angry. On the surface of Seran 4, the Valari Council finally received a message from Earth. It was only 5 words: debt remembered, help delivered, observe. Then the screen filled with live footage from the Oblivion. It showed Zorax ships burning. One after another, the Velari sat in silence. Tears filled the eyes of Council Head Valari. "We saved a dying species once," he whispered. "They returned as legends." But something else was happening too. The Zorax weren't just losing, they were terrified. They tried to retreat. They sent surrender signals. But Earth did not respond, because Earth wasn't here to negotiate. They were here to repay a debt, completely. Far. In deep space, another group of human ships activated. These were not part of the main fleet. These were Oblivion Black units, special command ships. They weren't going to save Valari colonies. They were going to destroy Zorax supply worlds, factories, war centers, egg clusters, everything. The command was simple. No return fire, no questions, just removal. And so the galaxy watched. From the rim to the core, alien species tuned into Valari transmissions. They saw what Earth had become. They saw the fire, the silence, the discipline, and they realized something terrifying. The weakest race had become the most feared. The Zorax were not used to fear. They were a race born from war, raised in fire, and spread through conquest. For centuries, they had crushed worlds, burned stars, and silenced resistance. The galaxy called them monsters, but now the monsters were afraid. They had never faced soldiers like these. Human ships struck without warning. Human fighters moved like wind. Human weapons cut through shields like they were paper, and worst of all, the humans said nothing. No threats, no boasts, only silence. In the Zorax core system, deep inside a black metal fortress planet, the Zorax overlord screamed in rage. His voice shook the walls. His 6 limbs slammed the control table as images of destroyed fleets played in front of him. Who are these creatures? How do they fight like this? A Zorax advisor bowed low. They are the humans, the ones the Valari once protected. The Overlord's eyes burned. Then we will crush them like we crushed their saviors. He turned to the control room. Send in the Titans. The Titans were Zorax superweapons, giant living machines the size of cities. Each one was a mix of biology and tech, with skin made of armor and hearts powered by dark suns. They could destroy moons. One Titan had wiped out 3 planets in a single cycle. Now 5 of them woke from their sleep chambers. Their orders: destroy the humans. In Valari space, the battle was shifting. Human fleets had pushed the Zorax out of 2 sectors. Valari cities were being rebuilt. Survivors were being moved to safe zones under Earth protection. But the humans didn't stop. They were pushing forward, deeper into Zorax territory. Then came the message. 5 Titans had jumped into the system, heading straight for the Oblivion. Commander Ilya Morrow stood at the bridge of the ship. The screen showed the approaching Titans, monsters of steel and bone, each bigger than her entire fleet. Her officers looked nervous. Some whispered, but Morrow simply said, "Send in the Hounds." The Hounds were Earth's secret strike force, code name for the H-class warframes. They were piloted mechs, each one operated by a bonded pair, a human pilot and a battle AI. These warframes were 100 meters tall, loaded with plasma claws, anti-gravity boosters and pulse shields. They were Earth's answer to Titans, and they had never been used in a real battle. Until now, 6 H-class warframes dropped from orbit like falling stars. As they entered the atmosphere, clouds burned and lightning flashed around them. On the ground, Valari civilians looked up and gasped. It was like watching gods fall from the sky. Inside Warframe Echo 5, pilot Zara Lynn gripped the controls. Her AI, Kovacs, spoke calmly in her ear. Target lock biosignatures confirmed. Zorax Titan incoming. Estimated kill time, 4 minutes. Zara smiled. Let's make it 3. The battle was brutal. Titans roared, their tentacle cannons fired, beams that melted mountains. Their feet crushed cities, but the hounds were faster. They flew, dodged, struck with sharp claws and energy blades. They used gravity mines to pin Titans down. Each movement was practiced. Each strike was precise. The Titans screamed in rage. But the humans didn't scream back. They just destroyed. One by one, the Titans fell. Titan 3 exploded from the inside after a hound drilled through its core. Titan 1 tried to escape, but Echo 5 chased it through space and cut it in half with a magnetic blade. When the last Titan fell, the humans didn't cheer. They simply returned to their ships. Mission complete. From orbit, the Valari High Council watched in silence. What they had just witnessed was something no one in the galaxy had ever seen. Humans didn't just defend, they dominated. But there was more. Zorax spy probes picked up strange signals from deep space. Hidden codes, encrypted channels. They traced them to ancient Valari tech modified by humans. That's when the Zorax realized a terrible truth. Humans had planned for this. They had taken Valari knowledge, added their own tech, and prepared. For war years in advance. They weren't just repaying a debt. They were showing the galaxy something. Never attack Earth. Never forget Earth. In a hidden chamber under Earth's capital city, the Grand Strategist reviewed the battle logs. He turned to his staff. Phase 2 begins. Across Earth's colonies, sleeper units woke up, satellite weapons activated. AI defenses came online. The plan had 3 phases. Defend the Valari break, the Zorax erase, the threat permanently. Now it was time for the final part. The Zorax overlord sat in silence. His fleets were broken. His titans were dead. His enemies were calm. He realized something horrifying. The humans had not even used all their power yet. They were holding back, and that scared him more than anything. The galaxy was quiet, too quiet. After the fall of the Titans, no Zorax ship dared enter Valari. Space. Survivors ran to the edge of known space, hoping to escape the storm that had started. But Earth wasn't chasing them yet. Instead, the humans did something strange. They stopped. No more attacks, no more movements. The fleet simply held position across Valari space like a silent wall of judgment. The Valari thought maybe the war was over, but they were wrong. The real war was just beginning. In a hidden archive deep below Valari Prime, historian Velari unlocked a forgotten vault. It hadn't been opened in 300 years. Dust rose as ancient lights flickered on. She searched the data walls for the original Earth-Valari treaty. She found it. What she read shocked her. Humanity is to receive no technology, no weapons, and no war knowledge. Only healing, no military. Sharing is allowed. She checked the rest of the logs. There was no record of Earth receiving war data, and yet the weapons Earth used were based on Velari systems, only better, faster, stronger. She leaned back, trembling. They didn't break. The rules, they surpassed us without our help. At the same time, a message arrived on the Valari Council's private channel. It came from Earth, but not from the fleet, from Earth's Grand Strategist. It read, request permission to present Operation Record 0A, Debt Preparedness Protocol. The Valari agreed, the message opened, and what they saw shook them. The screen displayed the year 2195. 200 years after the original Valari rescue, Earth had already united under one banner. And quietly, in the shadows, they had begun a project. It was not a war plan. Not yet. It was a thank you plan, a system to train humans to one day help the Valari. Should that day ever come, they trained soldiers not to conquer, but to rescue. They built secret bunkers, silent fleets, hidden factories. Every 10 years the plan grew bigger. More weapons, more ships, more minds working together, all in silence, all for a promise. The Velari Council stared in disbelief. They built all this just because we helped them? No, said Yavari Prime. They built it because they are human, and humans do not forget those who help them, nor do they forgive those who hurt them. Back on the Oblivion, Commander Ilya Morrow received her next orders. Phase 3, permanent resolution. She gathered her officers. We end this. Not just the war, not just the threat. We erase the Zorax as a danger to the galaxy, forever. Some officers nodded, others hesitated. One young strategist spoke. They're already defeated. Is this justice or revenge? Morrow looked him in the eyes. It's not revenge, it's memory. The Valari gave us life. The Zorax wanted to take theirs. We are not doing this because we enjoy it. We are doing it because no one else will. We are the ones who remember the debt. While the fleets prepared for deep space jump, something else happened. A secret Valari group sent an urgent message to Earth. They were worried. They feared the humans had become too powerful, too silent, too cold. Are you planning to take our worlds after this? They asked. Earth's reply was calm. No, we will leave, as we promised, as you did. But we will always watch, because this galaxy is dangerous, and someone must remember the pain. As Earth's fleets moved toward the Zorax homeworld, a strange thing happened. Zorax civilians began surrendering before the humans even arrived. They placed flags made of white dust on their homes. They destroyed their own weapons. They sent their children to the edge of villages, holding signs written in a new language, human mercy. They had seen what Earth could do, and they did not want to see it again. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the people did not cheer. There were no parades, no celebrations. They watched quietly. Some cried, some lit candles for soldiers they would never know. Some simply stared at the stars and whispered, "Debt paid." But at what cost? Historian Velansura sent a private message to Earth. "Why did you never speak of this? Why keep it secret?" A reply came. "Because we are not saviors. We are not gods. We are humans. And sometimes silence is the greatest form of loyalty." Then came the final report from Commander Morrow. Zorax worlds secured. Threat eliminated. Debt repaid. She sent no further messages. The Earth fleets turned, and they left. No banners, no monuments, only silence. But across the galaxy, something had changed forever. Species that once mocked humans now studied them. Empires that ignored Earth now feared it. And a single message began to spread across the stars, whispered in low voices. Never ask Earth for help lightly. They never forget, and when they repay in full. The sky over the Zorax homeworld was black, not from night, but from smoke, from fire, from silence. Where once stood towers made of bone metal, now only ash remained. Their strongholds were gone. Their fleets were broken. Their war-forging factories had been turned into craters, and above them, in low orbit, Earth's warships floated like ghosts. Silent. Still. Watching. Commander Ilya Morrow stood at the bridge of Oblivion, the flagship that had led the entire operation. Her face showed no victory, no pride, only the calm stillness of someone who had completed a mission that began 400 years ago. "Begin final sweep," she said. Her officers nodded. Drones scattered. Ground units moved through broken cities, disabling the last Zorax machines. There were no more battles, only cleanup, only the end. In the Velari Council chamber, the last survivors gathered to watch Earth's final message. A new broadcast came, through from Earth's high command. It was not loud, it was not angry, it was simply a statement. The debt is paid. The Zorax threat is no more. We ask for nothing. We leave now. And just like that, they did. The massive human fleet turned, row by row, and jumped into deep space. No ceremony, no flag raising, no demands, just departure. And the galaxy didn't know what to say. On Earth, the people lit candles in their homes. Thousands of names appeared on digital skies, the names of the soldiers who didn't return. No one clapped, no one danced, only silence, because this was not a victory, it was a promise kept. But in the far corners of the galaxy, stories were already starting to spread. Some said the humans had used weapons beyond imagination. Others said the humans had never stopped training since the first day they were saved. Few believed the humans had learned to control death itself, but the truth was simpler. Humans remembered. They remembered the day they were saved by strangers. They remembered the promise they gave. And they built an empire of fire, not to conquer, but to protect. On the last Zorax moon, a small child looked up at the sky and asked his elder, who were they? The elder, once a commander in the Zorax fleet, closed his eyes. He had seen them, he had fought them, he had lost. They are called humans, he whispered, and they are not like us. They are not many, they are not loud. But if they promise something, be it peace or destruction, they never break it, and when they leave nothing behind but silence. Meanwhile, at a secret human base near the edge of the galaxy, Commander Ilya Morrow entered a quiet room. A black box sat in the center. She placed a small data chip inside and spoke softly. Mission completed. No requests made, no territory taken, no trophies collected, just fire and silence. She paused. This is how we repay. The box closed, and her face, once cold, now looked tired, very tired, because keeping a promise had a cost, and she had paid it. Back on Valari Prime, children were now taught a new lesson in school. It was simple. It was short. Humans are not our protectors. Humans are not our servants. They are our friends, but never forget, even their friendship is wrapped in fire. Galactic councils met in secret. Old enemies sent peace offerings to Earth. Trade routes were reopened. Treaties were signed in quiet rooms. But behind every handshake, one thought remained in every mind. If this is how Earth treats friends who helped them once, then what would they do to those who betrayed them? A legend was born. Across colonies, deep space stations and mining belts, soldiers told one. Another the tale, the debt war, the quiet burn, the day Earth rose. But Earth didn't tell the story. They didn't make films. They didn't sell books. They simply returned to the stars. Back to building, back to exploring. They said nothing, because the galaxy had already heard everything they needed to hear. Years later, on a quiet Valari memorial stone, someone carved a final message. It had no name, no flag, no signature, only these words: you saved us once, we never forgot. We paid in full.